Alright, so let's take a closer look at the OrangeStorm Giga. As you guys can see, this is a very large printer that requires a lot of room, and it's also quite heavy. Let's go ahead and measure it out. So we're looking at 44 inches or so deep, about 48 inches wide, which is 4 feet, and about 57, 58, and if you consider the spool holder, 5 foot to probably 5'5" with the spool on there. So the Giga is set up pretty straightforward, as we have this frame here that moves up and down, and then we have a motor here that moves the x-axis, and then a motor in the back here that tethers the two belts that move the y-axis. So pretty standard. The only thing is everything is oversized and beefed up, like these ultra huge rods that the Z travels on, and there are 4 total, 2 on each side, with lead screws that are also very huge. Lots of angle braces. That's where our spool holder is, with the detector, and another one, which is a roller that will feed from the ground up and then down into the extruder. So you have a couple options. You can use a large spool holder from the bottom or just a normal one here from the top. But yeah, as far as the frame is concerned, everything is super solid and very well built and feels quite sturdy. Now, it being this large, you do still need to make sure you're on a very level surface or level the feet out as level as you can so the printer doesn't twist in funny ways. As it is big and heavy, gravity will, bend it around. But yeah, the design is quite nice. It's white. We've got this Create the Future here with the orange theme everywhere. Very large touchscreen that does just clip onto the frame, which is kind of nice. It does plug in down here, and the wire just kind of hangs there, and you can kind of move it around back and forth where you need it. So these are the motors. There's 2 of them, 1 on each side, that run this belt, which runs the leads on both sides. We got end stop switches here for the Z-axis. Going back up, we can see we got chain rails for all the wiring. So the wiring is very well organized, and we even have the chain here for the X-axis, which you guys can see how it kind of works. So yeah, pretty standard stuff. Just everything is quite oversized. And another thing here to mention is that we have this one hot end, but we have 3 more plugs here where we can add 3 more. So this gives the option of having multiple hot ends on one rail, looks like. But what would be kind of cool if you had 2 rails with 2 nozzles, so you could have like 4 printers printing at once, sort of thing. But this is quite an interesting setup here, as it's kind of made to print large, but also can be configured to print multiples, as there are 4 detector wires there. So you can connect up to 4 detectors and have 4 filaments feeding into 4 extruders. All the belts are large and thick, and the belts are adjustable here, both on each side, and also the X-axis over here. We are running on linear rails for the Y-axis and also the X. The hot end is pretty straightforward. It's just an oversized, normal looking hot end. You can see a gear here for the extruder. Also induction sensor and some dual cooling fans here. Now the part that is quite interesting is the build plate, as it is very large. And it's made out of 4 different plates. So we got an 800 by 800 by 1000 tall print volume. And the 4 sections are PEI sheets that are magnetic, flexible. The build plates are adjustable, so this is how you level them out. And also they are individually powered by individual power supplies, which there are 5 of them total underneath here. If we go to this side, you can see there is a switch for each one here. So there's 4 over here, and then another one here on the back, which runs all of the electronics, and the other 4 run the heated beds. So if we go over here, we can see we got a circuit breaker here. So if anything shorts out, this should trip. And then we got the junction box here, all the cables that come from the top, they go down into the board. And in the back here, we can see we got Ethernet connection. Our power input port, it is different looking than usual. It's more like a high amperage plug, and then a large on and off switch. And here we have the manufacturing label, which shows us some of the specs here. We got the build volume there, the wattage, which is 1530 watts, the size of the machine, and also the weight, which is 104 kilograms, which is over 200 pounds. We do have 4 feet that are large, and they are plastic. Because this printer is so heavy, it's kind of nice if you're sitting on the floor like this, you can still push it around, but it's definitely not going to move around on its own. And going to the front here, we have the screen plug, then our e-stop switch, and the USB drive port. Not too much here, just bolts. And yeah, pretty clean, nice, and very well designed printer. That's very impressive in its own right. Alright, so I'm pretty excited to power this thing on for the first time. I got the cord ready, plugged into an extension. So this is going to carry quite a bit of power, but it should be more than enough. You guys can see what the plug looks like. And it's going to plug back here, just like that. And the cord is about 4 feet, so not too long. We're just going to tuck it under here to make it look pretty clean. Before hitting that power button, make sure all your power supplies are switched to the correct voltage. There's one on this side and then 4 on the other. So let's go ahead and hit it. So I can hear a bunch of fans come on. The logo's coming on here. So it looks like it's loading up. And there we go. So I gotta really turn down my camera here. The screen's really bright. So it says here, system is currently booting, please wait. Now first things first, I wish the background was blacked out, not white like this, as it's quite bright. Let's click settings here real quick. Okay, so we can control the brightness. Let's turn that down just a little bit, or maybe a lot actually, so I can adjust my camera to something more normal. But yeah, you guys can see the white balance is completely freaked out, as this is way too blue compared to the lighting around. But let's keep it here. We do have some kind of lights here. So we have 4 LED controls. Okay, so that's for the 4 different nozzles. So if I click on the one, the light underneath the nozzle comes on. All right. So back to home page here. I guess let's go ahead and go through everything. So here we have the print button, which is going to read our SD card slot, which nothing's in there right now. We got the prepare. That's going to be all your main functions for the printer, all the movements. So I guess we can go ahead and home and see, make sure everything works. So let's go ahead and click that. Hopefully this camera can change its white balance here, but yeah, everything's moving. So it looks like the Y is good. The X is good also, I guess. And now this whole thing is going down. It's actually going to these sensors here on both sides, as that's where the little tabs that we installed are referenced to. Alright. So it did stop pretty low there, but the nozzle's a pretty good bit away from the bed. So it looks like that works. Let's go ahead and preheat PLA. These are the hot buttons we have. So the extruder is going to heat up to 205, and then we got the beds here all heating up to 60, and you can individually turn them off or on. So I guess let's just do the first one there, which is probably that one right there. And believe it or not, guys, it's actually this one. So that's really odd how they would arrange them like that, but they're not in that order down here, which can get quite confusing. The nozzle's already hot. Our first one's at 40. I guess you can't initiate it from here because you have to manually put it in. Let's see if I just click this. Okay, so they all just start. So you can just start it by clicking this and then turn off which one you don't want. And if you click on it, you can control the temperature of each one. So maybe instead of going to 60, let's just go to 50. I just want to check that they work, and 50 should be more than enough for that. So now we got all 50s here. So right below the preheats, we can see we got load and unload, and that's going to be for our filament. So yeah, pretty straightforward here. As that's warming up, let's go to settings. So here we have quite a few things. We're in basic settings, which has filament detection, on or off, so it was on. Fan on off, language, so this is the languages we got to choose from. The brightness, as we saw, we changed all the way down, which I think it probably should stay there, as the screen is way too bright. And again, I would have loved to see a dark background. We got one self-check. I'm not going to click that right now. A light control, a motor off button. So if you click that, it just shuts down all the motors or stops everything. And we got factory reset. So on the top here, we can see we have advanced settings. So here we have sound. So we can turn that on or off. That just makes a beep sound when you click on anything. Power loss recovery. You can turn that on or off. The only thing with this is they might not work with spiralized mode. That's probably why it's off. Yeah, I like how they put that as an option. So if you do lose power, it'll resume, which might be quite important depending on what you're printing. Speed adaptive mode, I'm guessing this automatically adjusts the speed for maximum printing. We got vibration pattern optimization, which we probably want to do that. Nozzle PADs, print head selection. Let's see, what is this about? Okay, so you can choose what setup you're using. That's pretty cool. So we're using just a single, confirm. All right, so I guess I probably should have just went back, but so it wants me to restart the whole thing. Let's see what this e-stop switch does. Okay, so it's not doing anything. So we're gonna have to go back here and push the main switch. And yeah, there's a lot of fans, guys. There is a lot of noise coming from this thing. Not like super loud noise, but there's quite a bit of fan noise though. And you guys will hear it when I turn it back on. So yeah, lots of fans going on. And we're back to rebooting. All right, so back here we have the Z-axis tilt adjustment. Okay, it's not doing anything. Platform measurement, what is that about? All right, so that's for bed leveling, and yeah, it basically sets up for the bed, and then you click on the number and it moves there, and then you adjust the thing. Let's go ahead and go back and see what else we have. So we got network, and this is going to be connecting to the Wi-Fi. So it's going to pull up what's nearby. So I'm going to go ahead and connect, enter the credentials, click on connect. And there it goes. We got the check mark, so we're connected. So now we can go to info, and this is everything about the printer. Little picture here, what it looks like, the build volume, the firmware version we're running, screen version, and then the Elegoo information there. And also here we have the update button. Let's see what happens when we click there. Okay, so yeah, that's for the USB port. So if you have an update, you can plug it in and then click that to update. And for the last thing here, we have level. So it's asking to return to home, confirm. And look at that. There's 100 points to level. Let's see if we can't use this button to stop everything. I don't think so. Nothing's really happening. Well, actually, no, it did stop. So yeah, I guess it completely resets the Clipper software. It gives you this little menu here. All right, so that's good. So that button does work. So we have a few options here. We can shut down, standby, restart. So I guess let's just click restart firmware, I'm guessing. So yeah, it's back to the logo and booting up.